Can you imagine the joy of a child playing by the shore, suddenly shattered by the approach of a shadowy predator? Or the thrill of a seasoned diver exploring Belize's reefs, only to find himself face to face with a creature that views him as prey? In these gripping stories, we venture into the ocean's deceptive beauty, where serene waters can quickly become treacherous. Join us as we dive into tales of survival and fear, where the sea's power is breathtaking and deadly. In July 2023, 8-year-old Lily Anderson enjoyed a much-anticipated family vacation in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The Andersons, a close-knit family from Boston, had always cherished their summer trips to the coast, where they could escape the hustle and bustle of city life and soak up the sun. Lily's parents, Mark and Sarah, had spent months planning this vacation, eager to give their daughter a break from her busy school schedule and a chance to explore the Cape's natural beauty. The family had rented a quaint cottage near the beach, just a short walk from the shoreline, where the clear, shallow waters were perfect for swimming and playing. Lily was a bright and curious child, full of energy and a love for animals, particularly dolphins. She had always been fascinated by the ocean and its inhabitants, spending hours reading books and watching documentaries about marine life. This trip was especially exciting for her because she hoped to catch a glimpse of the dolphins known to frequent the waters off Cape Cod. Her parents, aware of her enthusiasm, had planned a dolphin-watching tour later in the week, but for Lily, the possibility of seeing one up close while playing in the water was a dream come true. The day started like any other on their vacation. The family headed to the beach after breakfast. The sun shone brightly, and the cool ocean breeze made the warm July air comfortable. Wearing her favorite blue swimsuit, Lily ran ahead of her parents, eager to get to the water. Mark and Sarah followed closely behind, carrying a beach umbrella, towels, and a cooler filled with snacks for the day. The beach was relatively quiet, with only a few other families scattered along the shore, which suited the Andersons perfectly. When they reached the water's edge, Lily wasted no time wading into the shallow waves, laughing as the cool water splashed against her legs. Mark and Sarah set up their spot on the sand, watching their daughter as she played. Lily's joy was infectious, and her parents smiled as they watched her run and jump in the waves, her laughter mixing with the sound of the surf. As the morning wore on, Lily's excitement only grew. She wandered a bit farther from the shore, still within the shallow waters, but now slightly deeper, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of dolphins. Then she saw a fin breaking the water's surface near her standing. Her heart leaped excitedly, and she began splashing and calling out, convinced that a dolphin was nearby. But this fin moved differently from the graceful arcs she had seen in videos. It moved with a deliberate, almost eerie precision, slicing through the water purposefully. Lily, lost in her excitement, didn't notice the difference. The fin was not the playful creature she had hoped for, but a young great white shark drawn to the splashing in the water, mistaking it for the movements of a struggling fish. The shark circled closer, its instincts kicking in as it identified what it believed to be prey. Lily continued to splash, oblivious to the danger that was rapidly approaching. Moving with the swift, predatory grace that marked its species, the shark quickly closed the distance. It was only a matter of seconds before the situation would turn deadly, and a sudden, terrifying attack would shatter the peaceful morning on the beach. As the shark moved in closer, the once tranquil waters of Cape Cod began to take on a more sinister tone. The beach, moments earlier a place of carefree joy, was now on the brink of witnessing a terrifying encounter. Still unaware of the imminent danger, Lily continued to splash and call out, her voice excitedly. The shark, driven by instinct and hunger, saw the splashing as the erratic movements of prey and its predatory nature took over. Suddenly, the shark made its move. With a quick, powerful thrust of its tail, it charged toward Lily. The water around her seemed to swell as the large creature closed the gap in seconds. It was a blur of motion, the fin cutting through the water with terrifying speed. Just as Lily noticed the change in the water's surface, it was too late. The shark lunged, its powerful jaws opening wide, teeth bared as it aimed for her leg. Lily's scream pierced the air as she felt a sharp, searing pain in her leg. The shark's teeth grazed her, slicing through the water and leaving a trail of blood in its wake. The pain was instant and overwhelming, and Lily's small body tensed in shock. The splashing stopped as she instinctively tried to pull away, her mind reeling from the sudden attack. Her parents, sitting just a few yards away on the sand, heard her scream and turned to see the horrifying sight. Mark and Sarah leaped to their feet, panic surging as they realized what was happening. They raced into the water, their hearts pounding with fear and adrenaline. Mark reached Lily first, his hands grabbing her and pulling her out of the water just as the shark circled back for another attempt. The shark, sensing Mark's larger presence, hesitated momentarily before retreating into deeper waters, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. Mark and Sarah dragged Lily onto the shore, their faces pale with fear as they saw the wound on her leg. Blood mixed with the seawater, and Lily's tears streamed down her face, her body trembling from the shock. The bite wasn't deep, but it left a jagged and painful wound, marking the end of the encounter. Nearby beachgoers, aware of the danger, rushed to help, offering towels and calling for emergency services. The minutes that followed were a blur. Paramedics arrived quickly, their presence bringing a sense of relief to the terrified parents. They treated Lily's wound on the beach, reassuring her as best as possible before transporting her to the nearest hospital. The journey was filled with quiet sobs and words of comfort from Mark and Sarah, their fear only slightly lessened by the knowledge that Lily was alive. Doctors treated Lily's injury at the hospital, stitched the wound, and checked for more serious damage. Physically, Lily would heal, but the psychological impact of the attack was clear. She clung to her parents, the events of the day replaying in her mind with every blink. The ocean, once a place of wonder and excitement for her, had become a source of deep fear. The story of Lily's close encounter with a great white shark spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the Cape Cod community. The beach where the attack occurred was temporarily closed, and authorities increased patrols and safety measures to protect swimmers. The vacation had become a nightmare for the Anderson family, leaving them deeply shaken and forever changed. In June 2023, Mark Stevens, an experienced diver and spearfisher, set out on a solo expedition off the coast of Belize. A seasoned adventurer, Mark had spent years exploring the world's oceans, fascinated by the vibrant marine life and the thrill of the hunt. With its crystal-clear waters and abundant fish populations, Belize was one of his favorite destinations. He had been planning this trip for months, eager to escape the pressures of his daily life and lose himself in the beauty of the Caribbean Sea. Mark was well prepared for the day, his gear meticulously checked and his boat anchored securely in a calm cove. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the water, and the sea was as clear as glass, offering perfect visibility for spearfishing. Mark had chosen a spot near the Belize Barrier Reef, the second largest coral reef system in the world, known for its diverse marine ecosystem. The location was remote, far from the usual tourist spots, providing the solitude that Mark cherished during these trips. As he dove beneath the surface, the underwater world opened up in a dazzling display of colors and movement. Schools of fish darted around him, their scales shimmering in the sunlight that filtered through the water. Mark moved with the ease of someone who had spent countless hours in the ocean, his body gliding effortlessly as he focused on his target. His spear gun was a trusted companion, its accuracy honed by years of practice. The morning he proved to be highly successful. Mark's spear was soon loaded with fish, their silver bodies glinting in the water as he swam back toward his boat. The sense of accomplishment filled him with satisfaction, and the day's catch was a testament to his skill. He was in his element, surrounded by the serene beauty of the ocean, the thrill of the hunt still fresh in his mind. However, something caught his attention as Mark walked through the water. A sleek silver shape was darting around him, moving with a speed and agility that set off alarm bells in his mind. It was a large barracuda, its long, slender body cutting through the water like a knife. The barracuda was notorious for its aggressive behavior and attraction to shiny objects, often mistaking them for prey. Mark's heart rate quickened as he realized the potential danger. The fish hanging from his spear, glinting in the sunlight and bleeding into the water, had drawn the barracuda's attention. The predator circled him, its movements deliberate and predatory, assessing the situation. Mark knew he had to stay calm, and his years of experience told him that panic would only worsen the situation. He adjusted his grip on the spear gun, his mind racing as he tried to figure out his next move. Now fixated on the catch dangling from his spear, the barracuda suddenly lunged forward. Its powerful jaws snapped shut but struck Mark's arm instead of grabbing the fish. The pain was immediate and intense as the barracuda's razor-sharp teeth tore through his wetsuit and into his flesh. Blood clouded the water around him, and Mark instinctively recoiled, his body reacting to the searing pain. The situation had turned dire in an instant. Mark was bleeding heavily, the wound deep and gaping, leaving him vulnerable in the open water. The scent of blood, now thick in the water, posed an even greater threat. Mark knew that if he didn't act quickly, the barracuda wouldn't be the only predator attracted to the scene. With his heart pounding and the pain in his arm worsening, he had to find a way to fend off the relentless barracuda and get back to his boat before the situation escalated further. Mark's vision blurred slightly as he fought to maintain control, the pain from his arm radiating through his body. The blood in the water acted like a beacon, intensifying his fear that other predators might soon arrive. The barracuda, not yet satisfied, continued to circle, its predatory instincts heightened by the taste of blood. Mark knew he was in a race against time. He needed to fend off the relentless fish and return to the safety of his boat before his strength gave out, or the situation worsened. His mind raced as he assessed his options. The spear gun was still in his grasp, but his injured arm made it difficult to aim precisely. He had to be strategic. Any misstep could be fatal. The barracuda, driven by its instinct to strike at anything shiny or bleeding, lunged at him again, its sharp teeth flashing in the water. Mark thrust the spear forward, managing to graze the barracuda's side. The fish recoiled, but the attack didn't drive it away. Mark felt the burn in his lungs as he struggled to keep his composure and focus. Every movement sent a fresh wave of pain through his injured arm, but he couldn't afford to lose his grip on the spear gun. The barracuda circled back, more determined than ever. Mark knew he had to act fast. With all the strength he could muster, he aimed the spear at the fish as it lunged again. The spear's tip struck true this time, piercing the barracuda's flank. The fish thrashed violently, but the blow was enough to drive it away, at least for the moment. With the immediate threat temporarily averted, Mark turned his attention to returning to the boat. Every stroke of his uninjured arm felt like an eternity, the pain and blood loss taking their toll on his body. He could see the outline of his boat in the distance, a speck of safety in the vast expanse of the ocean. He pushed himself to keep moving, focusing on reaching the ship before his strength gave out completely. As he finally reached the side of the boat, Mark used his last energy reserves to haul himself out of the water. His arm throbbed with pain, and he could see the extent of the damage. The wound was deep, the skin torn and bleeding profusely. Mark knew he had to act quickly to stop the bleeding and prevent further complications. He fumbled for the first aid kit stored on the boat, his hands shaking as he tried to focus on bandaging the wound. The adrenaline that had kept him going began to wear off and exhaustion set in. Mark secured a makeshift bandage around his arm, but knew he needed medical attention immediately. He started the boat's engine with his good hand, steering it back toward the shore with determination, each movement a battle against the pain. Back on land, Mark's ordeal was far from over. As soon as he docked, he was rushed to the nearest medical facility where doctors treated his injuries. The deep wound required several stitches, and the doctors monitored him closely for signs of infection or further complications from the blood loss. Mark was grateful to be alive, but the encounter had shaken him. Mark's love for the ocean remained in the aftermath, but a newfound respect for its dangers tempered it. The scar on his arm would be a permanent reminder of the day he came face to face with one of the ocean's most aggressive predators. In May 2023, deep-sea diver Miguel Hernandez embarked on a solo expedition off the coast of Baja California, Mexico. Miguel was a seasoned diver with years of experience and a deep passion for exploring the ocean's mysteries. His love for the sea had taken him to some of the world's most remote and dangerous waters, and Baja California was no exception. Known for its rich marine biodiversity, the seas of Baja were a diver's paradise, teeming with life. This trip allowed Miguel to document the vibrant underwater ecosystem and encounter some of the region's more elusive creatures. Miguel had prepared meticulously for this dive. His equipment was state-of-the-art, and he had spent hours studying the local marine life and the potential hazards he might face. Despite his extensive preparation, one species particularly concerned him: the Humboldt squid. These creatures, also known as red devils, were notorious in the region for their aggressive behavior and formidable size, with some growing up to 7 feet long. They were highly territorial and known to be unpredictable, especially when they felt threatened. As he descended into the depths, the water around him became darker, the light from the surface fading into the blue abyss. Miguel's breathing was steady, and he moved with the confidence of someone who had spent countless hours underwater. The coral reefs and schools of fish surrounding him were breathtaking, a colorful display of life that few people had ever witnessed firsthand. He was momentarily lost in the scene's beauty, marveling at the ocean's wonders. But as he continued his descent, the mood began to shift. The water grew colder, and the vibrant colors of the reef gave way to a more ominous, murky environment. It was then that Miguel noticed a change in the water around him. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a flash of red, a Humboldt squid moving with the speed and agility that characterized the species. His heart skipped a beat as he realized this was no ordinary encounter. The squid was not alone. It was part of a group, and they were surrounding him. Miguel's training kicked in, and he immediately began to ascend, knowing that his best chance of survival was to get out of their territory as quickly as possible. But the squid had other plans. One of them darted forward, its tentacles extending to latch onto his leg. The creature's strength was shocking, and Miguel felt a sharp pain as the squid's beak tore through his wetsuit. He could see the other squids circling him, their eyes reflecting an unsettling intelligence as they closed in. Miguel's pulse quickened as he realized the severity of the situation. The squid were notorious for their pack mentality. He was now their target. He reached for his diving knife, his only weapon against these powerful predators. The squid's grip tightened, and Miguel knew he had to act quickly. With a swift motion, he slashed at the tentacle wrapped around his leg, the blade cutting through the thick flesh. The squid released him momentarily, but the others were still circling, their movements growing more aggressive. Miguel's mind raced as he tried to calculate his next move. He was still far from the surface, and the relentless squid showed no signs of backing off. Every second counted as he fought to ascend while fending off the attackers. The water around him was now a chaotic blur of motion. The once serene environment transformed into a deadly battleground. Miguel's situation grew more dire with each passing second. The Humboldt squid, known for their aggressive nature and intelligence, were relentless in their pursuit. As he tried to ascend, one of the squids lunged at him again, wrapping its tentacles around his torso. The force of the attack knocked the breath out of him, and he struggled to keep his composure as the creature pulled him downward, away from the safety of the surface. The squid's grip was like a vice, its tentacles constricting around his chest. Miguel could feel the sharp suction cups digging into his skin through the torn wetsuit, and the pain was excruciating. He knew that if he didn't act quickly, the squid would drag him deeper into the ocean, where his chances of survival would diminish rapidly. He tightened his grip on the diving knife, his only means of defense, and slashed at the tentacle encircling him. The blade cut through the flesh, and the squid recoiled, releasing its hold on him. But the victory was short-lived. The other squid were still circling, their movements faster and more erratic as they sensed his vulnerability. Blood from the wounds he had sustained clouded the water around him, a potent lure for the predators. Miguel's vision began to blur, a combination of pain, exertion, and the depth he was at. He knew he had to ascend quickly, but the squid was determined to make that task nearly impossible. As he kicked his fins to propel himself upward, another squid darted forward, its beak snapping at his arm. The sharp teeth tore through the muscle, and Miguel cried out in pain, the sound muffled by his diving mask. He fought back with the knife, stabbing at the creature until it let go. The water was a frenzy of movement, the squid attacking from all sides, their powerful tentacles striking with precision. Each moment was a desperate battle for survival, with Miguel trying to fend off the relentless predators while inching closer to the surface. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Miguel saw the light of the surface above him. Perhaps sensing their prey was escaping, the squid made one last coordinated attack. 3 of them lunged at once, their tentacles wrapping around his legs and torso, pulling him down with incredible force. Miguel used every ounce of strength he had left, slashing wildly with the knife, kicking with his fins, and pushing himself upward. The squid's grip loosened, and with a final burst of energy he broke free and surged toward the surface. Gasping for air, Miguel broke through the water's surface and immediately swam toward his boat, his body screaming in pain with each stroke. He could feel the blood seeping from his wounds, the water around him tinged with red. The fear of attracting more predators drove him forward, and his only focus was ensuring the boat's safety. When he finally reached the side, he hauled himself up with trembling arms, collapsing onto the deck, exhausted and injured but alive. In the aftermath of the attack, Miguel knew he had narrowly escaped with his life. The deep gashes from the squid's beak and the bruises from their powerful tentacles were a testament to the ferocity of the encounter. As he tended to his wounds, he reflected on the experience, the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. The waters off Baja California, which had once been a place of adventure and exploration for him, would now be remembered as a battleground where he had fought for his life. In July 2023, a 29-year-old marine biology enthusiast, Hannah Thompson, embarked on a long-awaited snorkeling trip to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Growing up in a coastal town, Hannah was always fascinated by the ocean and its vibrant ecosystems. Her passion for marine life led her to pursue a degree in marine biology, and she has spent the last few years working on various conservation projects. This trip to the Great Barrier Reef was a dream come true for her, a chance to witness one of the world's most famous underwater wonders up close. The day was perfect for snorkeling. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the turquoise waters of the reef. Hannah was part of a small group of snorkelers, all eager to explore the reef's rich marine life. They had set out from Cairns early in the morning, the boat ride filled with anticipation and excitement. As they reached the reef, the group wasted no time donning their gear and slipping into the water. As she ventured closer to the reef, something caught Hannah's eye. A peculiar rock-like creature was on the ocean floor, nestled among the coral. It was perfectly camouflaged, its rough, textured surface blending seamlessly with the surrounding environment. Intrigued, Hannah paused to get a better look. The creature was unlike anything she had seen before, and her curiosity got the better of her. Hannah touched the creature without thinking, her fingers brushing against its surface. In an instant, she felt a sharp, searing pain shoot through her hand. It was as if she had been stabbed with a needle, and the pain was so intense that it took her breath away. Startled, Hannah pulled her hand back, realizing what she had done too late. The creature she had touched was a stonefish, one of the most venomous fish in the world. The stonefish's spines had pierced her skin, injecting a potent venom that began to spread through her body with alarming speed. Hannah's hand began to swell, the skin turning red and puffy as the venom took effect. The pain was excruciating, radiating from her hand up her arm, and she could feel her body starting to react violently to the toxin. Panic set in as Hannah realized the gravity of her situation. The venom of a stonefish was known to be potentially fatal if left untreated, and she was miles away from the nearest medical facility. She knew she had to get back to the surface and seek help immediately, but the pain and swelling were making it difficult to move. The once beautiful underwater world now seemed like a hostel. Hannah's vision began to blur as the pain intensified. Her heart raced and she struggled to keep her breathing steady. The venom was working its way through her system, and every movement sent waves of agony through her body. She forced herself to swim toward the surface, each stroke more difficult than the last. As she ascended, her mind raced with thoughts of survival. She knew that time was of the essence. The surface seemed impossibly far away, and every second counted. The throbbing pain in her hand grew more intense, radiating up her arm and making it difficult to move. She could feel the venom attacking her nervous system, her muscles weakening with each passing moment. But despite the pain, Hannah knew she had to keep going. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she broke through the water's surface, gasping for air. Her fellow snorkelers were still immersed in the reef's beauty, unaware of the nightmare unfolding beneath them. Summoning all her strength, Hannah signaled for help, her movements frantic and desperate. The tour guide on the boat noticed her distress and quickly moved into action, guiding her back to the vessel as fast as possible. Once on the boat, the crew immediately recognized the severity of her condition. The swelling in her hand had grown significantly, and the pain was almost unbearable. Hannah's skin had turned pale, and she was shaking uncontrollably. The crew knew they had to act quickly to get her to a medical facility, as the venom was rapidly spreading through her body. The boat sped back to the shore, urgently cutting through the waves. Hannah lay on the deck, her breathing shallow and labored. Every minute felt like an hour as the venom continued to attack her system, causing intense pain and nausea. The crew kept her conscious, talking to her and doing everything they could to keep her calm. But the situation was dire. When they finally reached the shore, an ambulance was already waiting. Paramedics rushed to her side, administering pain relief and beginning the process of neutralizing the venom. Hannah was transported to the nearest hospital in Cairns, where doctors immediately began treating her for the stonefish sting. The medical team worked tirelessly to stabilize her condition, administering anti-venom and addressing the severe pain that gripped her body. Hannah spent several days in the hospital recovering from the sting. The physical toll of the venom was immense, and she required extensive care to manage the pain and prevent further complications. The doctors were able to save her life, but the experience left her deeply shaken. The once thrilling and enchanting world of the Great Barrier Reef had turned into a nightmare, and the memory of the stonefish's sting would stay with her forever. In the aftermath of the attack, Hannah reflected on the fragility of life and the unpredictability of nature. She had always respected the ocean, but this encounter showed how dangerous it could be. The scar on her hand served as a permanent reminder of the day she came face to face with one of the ocean's deadliest creatures. The experience had changed her, instilling a deep caution and respect for the world beneath the waves. In May 2023, Lucas, a 32-year-old outdoor enthusiast and experienced kayaker, embarked on a solo kayaking trip in the serene waters of the Seychelles. Lucas had always been drawn to the ocean, finding peace and solace in the gentle ebb and flow of the waves. Growing up near the coast, his love for the sea had developed at an early age, and over the years he had honed his skills in various water sports. This trip to the Seychelles was meant to be a relaxing escape, a chance to immerse himself in the natural beauty of the Indian Ocean. The day was perfect, with clear skies and the sun casting a golden glow over the turquoise waters. Lucas set out from the shore, paddling his kayak with ease as he ventured further into the shallow waters surrounding the islands. As he paddled, Lucas felt a deep connection with the ocean. The gentle rhythm of his strokes and the peaceful surroundings made him feel at one with nature. He was alone but not lonely, finding companionship in the vastness of the sea and the life that teemed within it. But the serenity was suddenly shattered. Without warning, a massive shape erupted from the water, launching toward Lucas's kayak with incredible speed. It was a giant trevally, a fish known for its size, strength, and aggressive behavior. The fish, which could weigh up to 80 pounds, collided with the side of the kayak with such force that it nearly capsized him. Lucas was thrown off balance, his heart racing as he struggled to steady himself and prevent the kayak from tipping over. The giant trevally still needed to be done. Driven by its territorial instincts, the fish attempted to knock Lucas into the water. It rammed the kayak with its powerful body each time, causing it to rock violently. Lucas's peaceful afternoon had turned into a desperate struggle to stay afloat. The kayak, designed for stability, was pushed to its limits as Lucas tried to fend off the relentless fish. His mind raced as he realized his danger. The shallow waters offered little refuge, and the nearest shore seemed impossibly far away. The trevally, intent on defending its territory, showed no signs of backing down. Lucas gripped his paddle tightly and began to paddle furiously toward the shore with no other option. Every stroke was a battle against the powerful fish that continued to ram his kayak, trying to overturn it. As Lucas fought to keep the kayak upright, the giant trevally made one final forceful charge, slamming into the side of the kayak with such power that it sent water splashing into the boat. The impact nearly toppled Lucas, but he managed to keep his balance, adrenaline fueling his determination to reach the shore. With each powerful stroke of the paddle, he inched closer to safety, all the while aware that the trevally could strike again at any moment. Lucas's heart pounded as he paddled with all his might, the shoreline seeming impossibly distant. The relentless giant trevally pursued him, its aggressive behavior unlike anything Lucas had ever encountered in his years of kayaking. Each time the fish rammed into his kayak, the impact sent shockwaves through his body, forcing him to tighten his grip on the paddle and fight to keep the kayak steady. The water churned around him as the trevally made another powerful charge, striking the kayak's rear. The sudden jolt caused the back of the kayak to lift slightly out of the water, and for a terrifying moment, Lucas thought he would be thrown into the sea. He instinctively leaned forward, shifting his weight to counterbalance the force. His muscles ached from the effort, but the adrenaline coursing through his veins kept him focused on one thing: survival. Despite the trevally's relentless assault, Lucas knew he had to stay calm. Panic would only lead to mistakes, and in these shallow, isolated waters, any mistake could be fatal. He forced himself to take deep breaths between strokes, trying to maintain a rhythm as he paddled toward the safety of the shore. As he paddled, the trevally made one final ferocious lunge, slamming its body into the side of the kayak with such force that the entire vessel tilted dangerously to one side. Water rushed in, soaking Lucas and making the kayak even more unstable. He felt the trevally's muscular body brush against the kayak's underside as it swam beneath him, preparing for another strike. The proximity of the fish was terrifying. It was clear that the trevally had no intention of letting him escape without a fight. Lucas pushed through the fear and exhaustion, his mind laser-focused on reaching the shore. He could see the waves gently lapping against the sand, starkly contrasting the chaos surrounding him. Finally, after an eternity, the kayak scraped against the sandy bottom of the shallow waters near the shore. Lucas could feel the tension in his body start to ease, but he knew he wasn't safe yet. He quickly jumped out of the kayak, dragging it onto the beach with the last of his strength. The trevally, now thwarted by the shallow waters, circled in the distance, its massive form still visible beneath the surface. It seemed to recognize that its territory was no longer under threat, and slowly swam away, disappearing into the ocean's depths. Lucas collapsed onto the sand, his chest heaving as he tried to catch his breath. His hands trembled from the exertion, and his heart raced as he processed the harrowing ordeal he had just survived. The shoreline, which had once seemed so far away, now felt like a sanctuary. The adrenaline that had kept him going began to wear off, leaving him feeling weak and shaken. The incident left Lucas with a deep respect for the sea and its inhabitants, and a renewed awareness of the dangers beneath its surface. Though he had always considered himself a skilled and cautious kayaker, this encounter had shown him that even the most experienced adventurers must never underestimate the unpredictability of nature. In September 2023, Sarah, a 29-year-old marine biology enthusiast, decided to take a much-needed vacation to the Caribbean. Sarah had always been fascinated by the ocean, its creatures, and the mysteries it held beneath the waves. She had spent years studying marine life and volunteered on several conservation projects. This trip was a chance to relax and explore the vibrant underwater world of the Caribbean, something she had dreamed of for years. Sarah arrived in the Bahamas, staying at a small resort known for its beautiful beaches and crystal-clear waters. The weather was perfect. Sunny skies, warm breezes, and the gentle ocean waves lapping against the shore. The sight of the turquoise sea was irresistible, and she couldn't wait to dive in and experience the wonders of the marine world she had studied for so long. On September 15th, Sarah woke up early, eager to start her day in the water. She grabbed her snorkeling gear and headed to the beach, warm sand beneath her feet. The water was calm, almost inviting, and she quickly waded in, feeling the cool, refreshing embrace of the sea. Sarah swam past the shallow waters near the shore, where the seafloor dropped away, revealing a stunning underwater landscape teeming with life. Schools of brightly colored fish darted between the coral formations, and the sunlight filtering through the water created a mesmerizing display of light and shadow. Lost in the moment's beauty, Sarah floated on the surface, her eyes scanning the coral below for any signs of the marine creatures she loved. She felt at peace, surrounded by the serene beauty of the ocean, her worries and stress melting away with each passing minute. But as she swam further from shore, something else lurked beneath the surface, something she had not anticipated. Without warning, Sarah felt a sharp, searing pain shoot across her legs and back. It was as if she had been struck by lightning, the suddenness and intensity of the pain taking her breath away. Panic surged as she realized she had swum into the tentacles of a Portuguese man-o-war, a jellyfish-like creature known for its nasty and excruciating sting. The tentacles, long and nearly invisible in the water, had wrapped around her legs and torso, delivering shocks of pain that made it almost impossible for her to move. The pain was unlike anything Sarah had ever experienced. It felt as though her skin was on fire, every nerve ending screaming in agony. She tried to free herself from the tentacles, but each movement only intensified the burning sensation. The venom from the man-o-war was quickly spreading through her body, causing her muscles to spasm and her breathing to become shallow and labored. Sarah's mind raced as she struggled to think clearly through the pain. She knew she had to return to shore, but the distance seemed insurmountable. Her legs felt weak and heavy, the venom making it difficult to coordinate her movements. Every stroke was a battle against the waves and the relentless pain that coursed through her body. With sheer determination, Sarah pushed herself to keep swimming, focusing solely on reaching the safety of the shore. She knew that if she didn't make it back soon, the venom could cause her to lose consciousness, leaving her helpless in the water. The journey back felt like an eternity, each second stretching out as she fought to stay above water. The pain in her legs and back was unbearable, and she could feel her strength waning with every passing moment. Sarah finally reached the shallow waters near the shore with every ounce of strength she had left. Her legs trembled as she struggled to stand, the pain still radiating through her body from the nasty sting. The beach, once a place of serenity, was now a desperate goal she had fought to reach. Stumbling onto the sand, Sarah collapsed, her body convulsing from the venom spreading through her veins. The venom from the Portuguese man-o-war had left angry, red welts across her legs and back, the tentacles' sting leaving a burning sensation that refused to subside. Her muscles spasmed uncontrollably, and each breath was a struggle as her chest tightened. The venom was not just a surface wound, it was affecting her entire system, and the severity of the attack was becoming alarmingly clear. Sarah knew she needed help immediately. Fortunately, nearby beachgoers saw her collapse and rushed to her aid. They quickly called for emergency services, and within minutes, Sarah was being tended to by medical personnel who arrived at the scene. The paramedics worked quickly, administering first aid to counteract the venom and ease her pain. She was placed on a stretcher and rushed to the nearest hospital, where doctors continued the treatment to prevent further complications from the venom's effects. The attack's aftermath left Sarah shaken and deeply aware of the hidden dangers that lurked even in the most beautiful environments. The experience was a stark reminder that the ocean, with all its allure and beauty, could also be a place of great danger. Sarah's recovery was slow, the physical scars healing over time, but the memory of the excruciating pain and the fear of those harrowing moments would stay with her forever. The incident served as a powerful lesson about the unpredictability of nature and the importance of caution, even in paradise.